Joining us, the United Nations Special Envoy to Somalia, Michael Keating, who is in Rome. Thank you for being with us here on France 24. What are your staffers telling you as far as when it comes to the efforts? I know there were big blood drives going on. What's the work at hand for your staff in Mogadishu today?
Well, my colleagues are very involved in supporting the local authorities and the government respond to this tragedy by providing earth-moving equipment, medical kits, non-food items, providing cash to pay people to clear up the rubble, trying to help with medical equipment and so on. It's an unbelievably sad moment for all Somalis and for many of my own colleagues, because everybody has either lost someone or had someone in their families wounded or knows someone who has been hurt. But right now the focus is on trying to help those who have lost family members to cope and help those who've been injured to recover, as well as clear up the site and figure out how we will get through this one.
More help needed from the outside as far as those rescue efforts, moving the equipment, moving equipment and stuff. What exactly are the needs right now in Mogadishu?
Well, you know, if you've got a double blast and a massive area of the town destroyed, the needs are huge, including to reconstruct the physical infrastructure, the buildings and so on. But in some ways, the biggest needs are humanitarian and medical and support for the families. You know, that has to be the priority right now. A number of countries, for example, Turkey, and a number of organizations, both non-governmental and governmental, are already doing amazing things to help the local government and indeed the federal government respond. So I think the important thing, if people want to help, is to find out from them what is the priority right now.
Let's talk about the timing of it. It happened 2 days after the head of the U.S. Africa Command was in Mogadishu. There was a meeting there with the president of Somalia 2 days after the country's defense minister and army chief resigned for undisclosed reasons. How do you explain what happened?
Well, you know, just to put this in context, it seems odd to be saying this after such a horrendous blast, but over the last 8 months, security in Mogadishu has gradually been getting better, if measured in terms of things like targeted assassinations and, you know, complex attacks and so on. IEDs is the one area where things have not improved, but there has been nothing on this scale in Somalia's history. And if my heart sank listening to your intro, because if those 70 missing people are confirmed dead and the toll goes over, say, 350. My understanding is this will be the very worst IED attack ever, not just in Africa, but ever. I hope that the toll does not get that high. I am not sure. I would be reluctant to say that the timing of this attack is related to, you know, the visit of a senior US general or to the sacking of the chief of defense forces. Security in Mogadishu is not their responsibility, is the responsibility of the local authorities, and they have actually, as I say, been doing a strong job. But what this incident you know, underscores is that you can never do enough, and all it takes is for one person to get through to cause this kind of horrendous carnage. I think the reaction to this has been one of utter revulsion. Al-Shabaab has not claimed responsibility, but it has all the hallmarks of an Al-Shabaab attack. And I think most people assume it has been done by one of their operatives. And I think this will really turn even more people in the population against them and underscore the fundamental importance of having as tight as possible a security regime in the major towns, particularly in Mogadishu, but also the need to end the violence, end the conflict with Al-Shabaab, and that is a much bigger proposition.
And so what path do you take when you're taking on Al-Shabaab at this particular point in time? Is it the military path all the way, or do you talk to them?
Well, you know, there has to be obviously a military response and a counter-terrorism response, because they are using violence to achieve their political objectives, and that is totally unacceptable, particularly if it involves killing very large numbers of civilians. So a CT and military component is extremely important. But as we've learned from many insurgencies around the world, there also has to be a political strategy, not least as some of the support for Al-Shabaab comes from people who are not really ideological, but from people who either have been intimidated or attracted to the movement in order to get jobs, or for economic purposes, or because somehow they feel that association with Al-Shabaab will help them in other disputes. And so, you know, you've got to have not just a military and CT response, but a broader political response, which looks at the phenomena that allow Al-Shabaab to continue, whether it's their sources of financing, some of the social support they have, the appeal, unfortunately, they have for some young people who don't have education, don't have jobs. What are the things that need to be done in addition to the military and CT stuff that will undermine its appeal and will help dismantle the movement?
Michael Keating, UN Special Envoy to Somalia, many thanks for speaking with us here on France 24.
It's a pleasure.